7, 6, 5.
Coming up on Chapman News, it's a sports special. OC native and St. Louis Rams wide receiver Austin Pettis is in studio to talk about his new offseason projects.
The San Diego Padres look to bounce back from last season's woes. We go inside at spring training in Peoria, Arizona.
And we bring you an exclusive report from the Toshiba Classic.
All this and more on the Chapman News Sports Special right now. Hello everyone and welcome. The Best Campus Sports Show has taken over for our sports special presented by Chapman News. I'm Wes Rapaport.
And I'm Emily Valla. Today we'll be joined by Redskins cornerback Brandyn Thompson and the host of Angels Live, Chris McGee.
But first we sit down with Rams wide receiver Austin Pettis. Trent Schloem is with him now. Trent?
Thanks guys. Yeah, with me now, Austin Pettis of the Rams. Austin, man, what you been up to this offseason?
Been enjoying the offseason.
Yeah?
Actually, it's kind of the first time in the past good few years that you get that little bit of time off. You don't really have spring ball, don't really have crazy summer workouts. So it's just nice to enjoy time being back home and hanging out with family.
Man, you're a rookie this year. Let's talk about that first season in the NFL. Tell me a little bit about the experience and the adjustment going from the college game to the pro game.
It's a big adjustment. Obviously, in the NFL, everyone was the best players on their teams. They're all the biggest guys. They're all the fastest guys. But I think it's more mental as you get there because, I mean, everyone's kind of an elite athlete at that level. So, I mean, it's the little things and mental, knowing your playbooks and kind of getting a feel for the game that kind of help you out.
How do you feel you personally made that adjustment, getting ready to go for this season?
I mean, I think I did pretty decent at it. It was a rough transition, obviously, having the lockout last year and not having that much time to get adjusted because it is a big leap going from college to the NFL. But everyone was really in the same boat. So, I mean, I kind of just took that as a mental note and didn't, use it as an excuse and just keep preparing how you would.
What was maybe one thing playing pro football that you maybe didn't expect that you'll learn going on?
Well, I'll say one thing's for sure is I didn't expect to be punt returning, and I was doing that, and that turned out to be well. It worked out good for us though. But
you had the one real long one.
Yeah, a couple were good, but I think I got hit a little bit more than
Niles got you on one. Yeah.
Yes, but I mean it was a good time out there. I mean, but the NFL it's definitely a lot about going out and making plays, and the coach is putting you in positions to do that. If you're not doing that, you're not playing. If you're doing that, you'll be playing. I mean, it's pretty simple, and I mean that's how the game's really played.
I know from your time playing at Orange Lutheran High School, your time spent at Boise State, always a community guy, always big on charity and doing a lot of work in the community. What are some projects maybe you're working on now?
I actually have a football camp that's going to be tomorrow at Orange Lutheran, where I went to high school at. We got a bunch of kids coming out. We got a younger group in the morning, and we got the older group in the afternoon. We got about two to 2.5 hours for each group. We're going to have probably 15 to 20 current or ex professional collegiate athletes, I mean, on all different levels. We should have a big group out there, and we're expecting a real good turnout, and it's kind of our first kickoff, and it's a free camp, so we're just trying to get as many kids out there and, I mean, get that interaction with them.
That's exciting. And you guys, what do you got? The Dream Team. What is that? I see it on Twitter, but what is that all about?
Yes, Dream. Well, that's my my financial manager. I mean, they do pretty much everything outside of what your agent does, and they kind of just handle athletes. And I mean, it's obviously a hectic time when I mean you have young 18 to 20 whatever-year-olds going in and getting a lot of money, and I mean they need those people who have been there to look out for you, and that's kind of who they are to me. And they also have a foundation that they run, and I mean they reach out and have access to so many athletes. It's easy to get athletes to get to certain camps. So being in Southern California, obviously a hot spot for athletes to be at, it was I mean pretty good decision to get a lot of guys to come out.
Perfect. Okay, then the Rams traded away or received a ton of draft picks, gave away that #2 pick, but a lot of good things on the rise, it looks like, for this team. What can we expect in this upcoming season for St. Louis?
I think it'll be a lot of excitement. I know coming in, we'll have a way different mindset. I know a lot of guys are very excited. I mean, great moves that we've made in the offseason. The Rams organization is definitely taking the necessary steps to improve for next season. I think that the coaches are going to mesh well with the players, and I think that everyone's just excited to, I mean, really get in there and get back to work.
Perfect. Well, Austin, thank you very much for joining us in the studio. Good luck with everything tomorrow. Chapman News will be there, and we'll be sure to talk about that. So thank you, and stay tuned, because after the break, Redskins cornerback Brandyn Thompson will join AP and myself. A little roundtable on the NFL. We'll be right back.
Follow your dreams. Chapman University, a diverse, well-rounded education. Art, dance, music, theater. Empower your future. The performing arts at Chapman University. Create. Follow your dreams. Chapman University. History, philosophy, peace studies, languages. Study abroad and explore the world. Become a global citizen. The Wilkinson College at Chapman University. Invest your humanity. Lead.
Welcome back to our sports special presented by Chapman News. I'm Wes Rapaport.
And I'm Emily Valla. Joe Fan is with our esteemed football panel. Joe?
Welcome back to the Best Campus Sports Show, Chapman News Special. We're here on our NFL Roundtable. I'm Joe Fan, joined back. Austin Pettis is back with us, as well as Brandyn Thompson of the Washington Redskins and Trent Schloem. Thanks for joining us, fellas.
Thank you. No problem.
You know, every offseason in the NFL, it's always busy. 2012 has been no exception, especially these past few weeks. Bountygate 2012 has come out. What's your guys' reaction when this comes out, Austin?
It's an interesting scenario. Obviously, football is a physical game, and players want to, hit opponents pretty hard. And, I think it's more of a fear thing. I don't think it was necessarily to hurt people, but sometimes people take it the wrong way, and I think it's an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, obviously, like you said, it's a tough situation. I think what is tough to understand is, that's programmed in you since you're a little dude, when you're like 8, 9 years old, to go out there and really try to kill the opponent. So, it's tough to deprogram that, but I think it's a good job by the NFL to start bringing around the safety rules.
Yeah, you're trying to clear it up. You have all the issues, with the concussions, and they're working so hard on the helmet technology, and then you go and hearing that, the coaches are going out and telling guys, hey, you want to make 15 grand, knock this guy out, make sure he doesn't play. Who knows how much of that is all true and whatnot. But it's definitely a situation that I think is unfortunate for the NFL, but one that obviously Roger Goodell is surely ready to clear up, that's for sure.
Well, you hit it on the nail. Roger Goodell is setting a precedent right now with suspending Coach Payton for an entire season, costing them draft picks, Greg Williams out of the NFL indefinitely. Austin, do you think that's the right penalty, too soft, too harsh? Well, what are your thoughts?
Personally, I don't necessarily know what the right punishment would be for that, but I think that the way to go about it was to really make a statement, and the way they approached it and did that, I think they did the correct thing by letting everyone know that that's not accepted in the NFL, and safety is definitely the main thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think not knowing all the details of the case, we only get bits and pieces of what they tell us. You kind of just have to go with what Mr. Goodell says, trust that they did a thorough investigation and the punishment handed out was fair.
Yeah. Hey, my football background, I played 1 year of freshman football, right? So but I spent some time, with the coaches and whatnot, trying to understand what I can of the game. But I have to imagine losing your head coach for an entire season completely changes your organization. You guys are there, you see, every day. That has to be a huge disadvantage to lose your coach, not just for a certain amount of games, but really he's not a part of it for a whole year.
Especially coaches love the Sean Payton in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I'm glad we have an offensive player here and a defensive player. Brandyn, we'll start with you. You said it yourself. The go on defense is programmed into you since you're little is go kill the offense. That's your job, is to make hard hits and make plays. Mm-hmm. So when you're offered, Brandyn, $15,000, take out Austin next game, does that change your mindset at all, or are you just going out and doing your job, or maybe a few steps after the tip, you're still going at it? How much does it change how you play?
I think, it's kind of like I look at it as when you were a little kid, right? So when you're a teacher, your teacher gave you a reward system. If you do something good, you get a star. So the bounty is kind of a similar situation, but I think as you get older and you get more mature, you realize you want to protect the players around you. So, I mean, I think that's why they came so hard against the people doing the bounty, and, you know, I can say I agree with it.
Austin, now for you, you know, if you know you have that bullseye on your back, does that make you a little hesitant to go across the middle of the field knowing these guys have it out for me right now and there's some incentive, you know, to get me out of the game?
Not necessarily, because those things aren't really going through your mind during the game. I mean, me personally, I'm thinking about so much within the offense, and I mean, when the ball's in the air, it's really just catching it and trying to get upfield or get down and protect yourself. But it's not necessarily trying to not get hit as you're, making your plays. Really, it's just protecting yourself in those situations when you can.
Do you guys think this is a situation where, you know, this is the Saints, this is Greg Williams, this is his baby, this program, or do you think it's the Saints just got caught and it's more prevalent than you would know?
Go ahead, defense.
Hard to say. I mean, I think, like I said, everyone might have their version of the reward system, but I don't think anyone has anything instituted quite as specific or, you know, we all would like to believe the NFL is a lot cleaner than that. So I can only speak to where I'm at. And we don't have anything like that.
The one thing, though, is it's been pretty clear. Obviously, this is something that Goodell is concerned about that happens maybe in the Saints are in the unfortunate case that they're the ones that got caught. But moving forward, he has to stop this now because maybe he does hear, you know, maybe there's the rumors that, oh, this team's doing stuff too, and there's just nothing concrete. Well, if he nips it in the butt by giving as harsh suspensions as he did and as harsh penalties, it's no longer an issue, or at least moving down the road, it won't be.
Trent, Sean Payton will be back. Greg Williams, we don't know. He's suspended indefinitely.
Right.
Do you think Greg Williams should have a place in the NFL ever again?
It's a tough question again, and it's hard to say when you don't know all the specifics of the details, of the situation. But when you're going out and you're telling, if it came down to he's handing cash to tell a player to knock someone out and make sure that they're not playing the game and to injure a guy and that malicious intent, I think there's no place in the NFL. I mean, and I don't want it to turn into, you know, a softy league either, right? You got to keep going. Obviously, that's why we all love football. We love the contact. We love the excitement that brings. There's nothing more fun than seeing a huge hit. And you don't want to see that leave the game at all. But when there's malicious intent, I think that's the problem. I think that was the issue there.
All right, back to you guys' teams, Redskins and Rams. Tough seasons last year, not too many wins between the two of you. Rebuilding teams, but you guys are both involved in a huge trade that took place about a month ago. With that second pick, the Rams trading it to the Redskins. Redskins really going all in, assuming it's going to be RG3. I want to pitch from each of you why you guys got the better of the deal.
Well, I would say for us personally, we have a very good quarterback already in Sam Bradford. So, we had some little spots that the Rams organization wanted to kind of clean up. We had a good few injuries last year. So, our team, we weren't we weren't as bad as our record might have proved because we had a lot of kind of rough bumps last year throughout the season. But the Rams organization has made a lot of great moves within the draft, and they set ourselves up to be very successful for next year and kind of fill those voids that we had.
I mean, obviously, this is assuming that we do pick him with the number 2 pick. I don't want to, you know, speak for the organization or front office. But obviously, he's a great player. Last year, he did pretty much everything for his team, put the team on his back at all times. You know, very dynamic player. Seems like he can have an effect on the game immediately as soon as he walks through the building. And to be honest, I'm excited for it.
Trent, you break the tie. Let me know.
You,
Give me your take.
You put me on the spot. You put me on a set with 2 NFL guys, and then I gotta go and give my pitch to see, you know, which way I like best. Quite honestly, I think the Rams got the better end of the deal, and the biggest reason was the one I think Austin mentioned. You have Sam Bradford, right? You don't need a quarterback. The Redskins, they're sure giving a lot up, and they believe that Robert Griffin III is capable of being that guy. And, man, we saw it. Joe, we saw it against your Huskies, right? In the Alamo.
Don't remind me. Come on.
I know, right? But we see it. We know how good Robert Griffin III is. And we've seen it before now with the success that Cam Newton had last year. That style of quarterback can absolutely work. And the difference is it's not just that RG3 is fast. And, you know, he's a sharp guy. He can read defenses. And he's got a heck of an arm, too. So it's going to be a real nice addition for the Redskins. But the difference is the Rams, they don't need a quarterback. They have a guy that is capable of, if he comes all the way to as good as he could be, maybe this guy is an MVP candidate.
Yeah, you know, they have a great quarterback. They also have a new head coach in Jeff Fisher. Talk about Coach Fisher, how the changes between him and the last regime, how it's maybe affecting you, and going forward, what you're looking forward to.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting out to St. Louis. I will be there within the next few days and getting to meet the coaches and everything, because I haven't actually been able to get in contact with them yet. But I've talked to many people who have interacted with him. My agents also know him very well, and they say he's a great coach, great guy. A few players who are out in St. Louis have met him as well, and told me he's just a real good guy, and he's a real players coach, and a lot of the players relate to him. And I know being on different teams through various sports, a lot of coaches coach differently, but it's always a little different, and you feel a little more connected with the coach when he's kind of more that player's coach and he's more in tune with them.
And Brandyn, got action in 6 games last year, looking to progress now in your second year, your sophomore season. What are you looking forward to this year in Washington?
Like you said, just progressing, going back, you know, getting in the weight room, getting on the field, and really just trying to get better, man. I think, you know, it sounds simple. That's really what it's all about. And, you know, just being ready for the opportunity. You know, whatever I get thrown, obviously I have big goals for myself. You know, I'm sure like anyone does, but, you know, just being ready, man. Excited to get back and go to work.
Trent, what are you looking forward to the NFL season?
Man, I'm excited. And the one thing that I think is going to be the most interesting storyline, and I'm sure we're going to get sick of it real soon if we're not there already, Tim Tebow in New York, how that's all going to play out with Mark Sanchez. And really, we have no idea. This could be... We've heard it discussed. Some people have said it's either going to be an A or it's going to be an F. It's going to be super successful or it's going to be a complete failure on their part. And I guess the Jets feel it's worth a risk. That's the storyline I think that everyone is going to be following. And then let's not forget Peyton Manning in Denver, right? All of a sudden this team becomes, hey, that's a huge upgrade at quarterback. Are they now a Super Bowl contender? The defense was sure great last year. I mean, Austin, I know you know Vaughn pretty well, and he certainly has a lot of faith in that Bronco D, and they were great last year.
Absolutely. Plenty to look forward to in 2012. We appreciate you joining us, Austin, Brandyn, Trent. We'll see you in a little bit. We appreciate you guys coming on. Great insight as always. Wes, as well as Emily, take it away.
Thank you, Joe. From the gridiron to the diamond, Major League Baseball spring training is in full swing.
We sent Matt Pritchard out to Peoria, Arizona to cover the San Diego Padres and get a preview of their 2012 season.
Spring training, a time of year in which fans and players alike prepare for the dawn of a new season. The San Diego Padres are no different, as they too are hoping for big things in 2012.
We feel as though with our club, we've changed some faces, we've changed some names, that if you know, we put it together in all phases, we pitch, we play defense, we get some timely hitting, we can contend. I think there's no favorite in this division. You know, some teams have, you know, made some improvements, obviously, but we feel we've made some improvements as well.
And among those names is slugging left fielder Carlos Quentin, who will look to bring an offensive presence to a Padres team that has struggled in past seasons.
You know, he's been a proven run producer. He's got power. This guy hits with runners on base. He's knocked in runs. That's what we need. We need guys who can knock in runs, who can be productive offensive players, and we think Carlos is that guy.
With a supporting cast featuring Chase Headley, Orlando Hudson, and Cameron Maben, fans in San Diego can expect big things from this Padres lineup. Reporting from the Padres training facilities in Peoria, Arizona, I'm Matt Pritchard.
Okay.
Thanks, Matt. Let's keep the baseball conversation going.
We go back to the round table, this time with Tara Skipper, as we get set for opening day.
You know, before we go to Tara, I really got to say, Matt, I talked to Matt and Trent, who both went to spring training. Sounds like they had so much fun going to cover the Padres.
That's what I hear. You know, they had a great time, lots of good interviews, some good times out there.
And I heard that the interview with Bud Black, you know, as we saw a couple of sound bites from him there, you know, seemed like a really nice guy, you know, really looking forward to seeing what the Padres are going to be able to do in this 2012 season.
Absolutely. All right, here we go to Tara.
MLB roundtable discussion, and here with us we have Chris McGee, host of Angels Live, and we also have our analyst Joe Fan and Matt Pritchard. So first, let's get started talking about this big Dodgers Magic Johnson trade, a $2.15 billion deal. Huge. What's your take on this, Chris?
That's a lot of cheddar, isn't it?
That's a lot of cheddar.
That's a lot of cash.
I'd love to put it in my bank account.
Don't forget the $150 million parking lot. But
right.
You know, I mean, if you're buying the Dodgers and you have that kind of money, and you're in a bidding war, and you think this is going to be your baby for the next 50 years, the money's going to make up itself. I think what the question is obviously they overpaid. You know, it's like paying $40,000 for $30,000 car. There's no question they overpaid. But they're going to have this team forever. So in the long run, you're going to make up that money. I think the question is, do they have more money? Because big free agency next year, stuff like that. I think that's what the question is. But you're talking about guys that know how to win. Stan Kasten knows how to run baseball, and there's money behind them. So for me personally, I grew up a Magic Johnson fan, almost over the top. You know, I was an 80s kid, and I was in college in the 90s before you guys were born. And you know, I played volleyball at Cal State Northridge, and I had Magic Johnson posters on my wall, maybe over the top. People thought, you're 21, you should probably get rid of those. But for me, he's a childhood hero, and he's a winner. And as a person that's lived in Los Angeles his entire life, I'm excited about it. There's finally some good, positive vibe and buzz around the Dodgers.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I'm Chris McGee or any other LA sports fan, I'm just so excited that the black cloud of Frank McCourt is lifted over Chavez Ravine.
It sure was there last year. You know, you were out there.
But I'm brutal. But I'm not. I'm from Seattle. I'm not a Dodgers fan. So for me, I'm looking at this. I want to get on the Frank McCourt business plan where I buy something, run it into the ground into bankruptcy, then sell it for far more than it's worth. I can't get over the fact that this guy is making $1 billion.
He might just be the biggest genius out there.
And still isn't out of the organization. Like you say, it's a $150 million parking lot. He's still a part, some way, shape, or form of the Dodgers. Do you think a $2 million or $2 billion price tag would be enough to get him out of there?
He didn't have that much money to begin with. He bought a lot of shoes, a lot of houses, got divorced with his wife, and he's making $1 billion. So he might be the biggest genius out there. So all you Chapman kids, Frank McCourt, you should have him in here. He should be sitting here.
You won't be very popular, but your bank account will be fine.
Yeah, I mean, but I think if you're a Dodger fan right now, I mean, LA is so much about loyalty. You mentioned, I mean, you're a big Magic Johnson fan. You've lived here your whole life. It's so huge for Dodger fans because we're talking about an organization that is so big in Major League Baseball. This is one of the marquee franchises of Major League Baseball. And to have a guy like Magic Johnson who brought so much success to the city of LA owning him, I think LA and Dodger fans have to be excited.
Think about Jerry Buss, George Steinbrenner, you know, George Steinbrenner with the Yankees, Jerry Buss with the Lakers. Yes, they make their millions, but the fact that you're the owner of a franchise like that and presidents and generals of armies come and come to your suite and enjoy your product and movie stars, I mean, that's part of being a Dodgers owner. I mean, for these guys, this is what, you know, they want to do for the next 50 years.
Definitely.
And pass it on to their families. So $1.5 billion to them is worth it.
Yeah. Now, Chris, let's talk about how this is actually going to affect the players and the team. How do you think the team's going to perform this season?
You know, it's funny. I was around there a lot last year, and the players and Don Mattingly all said the right things. And to give them credit, they played very hard last year. They weren't great, but they got better as the year went on. They never gave up, and the product on the field wasn't that bad with everything going on. I mean, it was like you said, the black cloud. I think this year that will be lifted. There'll be relief. They'll see Magic around. I think it's going to be great for those guys, no matter what they say. Yeah, they were professional last year, but it affects you. You don't know if your paycheck's going to get signed. Trust me, that affects you. So now that Magic is in there, someone that they can go to that they watched as a kid, you're going to see a different Dodger team. I truly believe that.
Even considering all of that turmoil, oh, by the way, you had the Cy Young and should have been the MVP with Matt Kemp. You know, you're going to need guys like Chad Billingsley to step up, who really hasn't developed like they were hoping he would. Still plenty of holes in the staff. Andre Ethier needs to have a comeback year, but there are pieces in place. You know, they had guys who had monster years last year, and now that we're not talking about the divorce and Frank McCourt, we can finally get back to baseball and really celebrating how good these guys are.
Yeah, it's a great team. It's really well put together, and I think we're going to see a great Dodgers team this year, and it's going to be a return to success for this Dodgers lineup.
Do you have any idea that these two guys were this smart?
Yeah.
That's what we do.
They're great.
That's what we do here on the Best Campus Sports Show.
Matt, how do you think this is going to affect the Angels? Is this going to put pressure on them to step up to the challenge?
I think it definitely could. I mean, it's always more fun when the Angels and the Dodgers are both good, and we're having competitive baseball in Southern California. I still put the Angels ahead. I mean, you look at the offseason moves that Jerry DiPoto made this year. I mean, bringing in Pujols, bringing in Wilson, even the signing of Chris Iannetta improves this team. I mean, this is literally a guy that went out and improved every move he made, improved this team. And this is a great product that's going out on the field every night.
The thing that I love is the marketing. You see the marketing further and further towards LA, the El Hombre billboards, you know, marketing outward pools to the LA market. You know, come on, check out our product down here in Orange County. But I think you're right. Matt's right. You can't argue with what's on paper. But I mean, that's why they play 162 games.
Yeah, and obviously you're familiar with the team. What's your take on?
Yeah, I mean, I
your
think it's a great question. I feel if you're talking about what team has more pressure on them, it's definitely the Angels. When you put over $330 million into 2 guys and bring in Pujols and C.J. Wilson, you're making a statement to the rest of baseball that we want to win and we want to win now. So the pressure is there for the Angels because Artie Moreno has put it out there and he wants that. He wants a winner. He stepped up to the plate. I mean, you look at that lineup. I was out in Arizona the other day for spring training. I mean, when Trumbo is hitting 7th, you're nasty. And if Kendrys Morales can stay healthy, and right now he looks pretty good, they're going to be real tough. You're talking about Pujols in the 3-hole, then Morales, then Hunter, then Wells, then Trumbo, then Ayeta in the 8th spot, Borges in the 9th. I mean, you're talking about the best lineup in baseball.
And the best part about the lineup is that you have a lot of good role players to go along with all these power hitters.
Absolutely. Ibar, those guys are great, and they got a great bench.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this team, and then you add C.J. Wilson, so you already have a great staff. Weaver, Santana, Herron, who's probably pitching his best baseball he has in a couple years, and then you throw in C.J. Wilson, a lefty, who's won at a high level and who's been great. You have to win now.
If you can win at the ballpark in Arlington where the ball flies out of the yard nearly on every swing of the bat, I think you can be okay. So that's going to be a big move for him.
Yes.
In terms of pressure, I mean, pressure is what you put on yourself, and pressure that is the media that we put on you that you have to win. But I always tell my teams that I coach myself, you want that pressure on you. You want that X on your back. That means you're something. That means you have the capability of winning, and that's a big part of it. You have the pieces to win. That's what you want. You want that pressure. It's that elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. You want to embrace it. It's there.
All right, we've talked about our 2 local teams. How do you think the Angels and the Dodgers are going to compete on a national level?
I mean, personally, I think, the Angels along with the Rangers are still so good.
Yeah.
You can never count out the Yankees or the Red Sox. The Red Sox obviously a difficult year last year, but they're going to be right there. Tampa's still good. Detroit's still good. But I think the Angels, without a doubt, will be a playoff team. Now, a lot's got to go right. You got to be healthy. You got to be pitching well. But there's no reason why the Angels can't win the American League.
I think,
and for the Dodgers, I mean, you guys can talk about the Dodgers, but they're going to be better than last year. You never know what's going on in the NL West.
Never.
I mean, look at Arizona last year.
Never.
If they can pitch well, they'll be right in the hunt.
Yeah.
I think the thing we saw this offseason was a big migration of pretty much every major player to the AL. So if you look at the Angels, they're really going to have to step up this season. They're the ones that really have, I think, more challenges ahead of them, whereas the Dodgers, I mean, you talked about the NL West, it's always a weaker division. The NL got a lot weaker with Pujols and Fielder going to the AL. So the Angels are the ones that are really going to step up to the challenge this year.
You just mentioned Fielder. I mean, the Tigers, you can't forget how good they're going to be this year. So there's a lot of good ball clubs in the AL.
I think there's no doubt the Angels, I mean, I agree with both you guys, the Angels will be there. But what really makes this interesting this year is the added wild card spot. And I think that's really going to benefit the Dodgers because you have so much competition on an even playing field. Maybe not to the level of the American League, but if they can get an arm or two to step up, there's no reason why they can't claim one of those 2 wild card spots or even win that title. I still think the division goes to the Giants just because that, you want to talk about an Angels starting rotation.
Sure.
Bumgarner is your number 3 behind Kane and Lincecum. That's pretty dang good.
Sick.
I think we can all agree that this is going to be a very interesting MLB season, definitely. Well, thanks, Chris, Joe, Matt, for joining us. Thank you, everyone. Coming up, our in-house hockey expert, Matt Pritchard, will break down the NHL playoffs and how our SoCal teams are competing.
High five.
This is Chicago, home of the Stanley Cup champion Chicago Blackhawks, and this city loves Chapman News.
Follow your dreams. Chapman University. Chemistry, physics, computational science, biology. Start doing research in your first year. Soar to new heights. The Schmid College of Science at Chapman University. Explore.
Welcome back to Chapman News Sports Special. I'm Emily Valla.
And I'm Wes Rapaport. In a moment, we'll take a closer look at the Ducks and the Kings' performance in the NHL.
But first, Matt is joined by Chapman's star pitcher, Brian Rauh. Matt?
Thanks, guys. I'm joined by Chapman ace Brian Rauh. And Brian, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I think the first thing that everybody wants to know, I mean, you're a junior right now. You're the ace of the staff. Are we going to see you in a Chapman uniform next year?
That's a tough question, but if the opportunity presents itself, I might not be here next year.
So you like the idea of getting to go out into Major League Baseball? I mean, if you had to pick a team, and I know you've been approached by a lot of them, what's your dream team?
I grew up a Dodger fan, so, I mean, even though their system's kind of struggling right now, I still think it'd be fun to play for them.
So you mentioned the Dodgers. Have they approached you at all?
No, that's one of the teams that has not, so I don't know. But the Padres have, so looking forward to, talking to them, possibly staying in the West and in California.
Very cool. I mean, this season's been a rough one for the Chapman Panthers, though, bringing it back to our local team. It's been a tough season. You guys have really struggled, and obviously, you're looking to make it into the majors. Has that swayed your decision at all?
No, I wouldn't say it has. Yeah, we're struggling, but I feel like I'm ready to take my abilities to the next level and play professional baseball. I've enjoyed my experience here at Chapman, and I love my teammates, but at the same time, I feel like I'm ready for that next step.
Now, you're a high-caliber player. I mean, you probably could have gone to a D1 school. I mean, talk about making the decision to go to Chapman. What influenced that?
Well, out of high school, I was a lot smaller, and I wasn't as good. And I also had a top 5 round draft pick in front of me, and my brother, who's another great pitcher. So I kind of didn't really get the looks, and so I decided to come to Chapman. I like the campus, I like the coaches, and obviously it's one of the top D3 programs in the nation. So I decided to come here, and I got a lot bigger and stronger, and coaches definitely helped me out and started improving my game.
What's it like to be pitching and look to see 12 radar guns staring back at you? Is that intimidating?
I mean, as much as I want to say that it has no effect on me, it definitely does. You definitely get those butterflies in the first inning. You see all the radar guns pointing at you. But I mean, after that, it's just I have to do what I have to do and just throw my game and throw strikes and get the guys out.
Now, if you move into the major leagues, can you talk about? I mean, who are a couple veteran players that you would love to learn under?
I grew up watching Greg Maddux. Loved watching that guy pitch as he progressed through his career. He kind of changed styles. I wouldn't consider myself an overpowering pitcher, especially at a major league level. And I feel like later in his career he wasn't. And he kind of just had to, tweak some of his style and work more off-speed pitches and learn how to throw, all of his off-speed pitches for strikes. And then also I'd like to learn from Jared Weaver from the Angels. So he's only 88, 90. Maybe, it's not low 90s, but he's got great command of all his pitches, can throw strikes with any of them, and I feel like that's how I'll make it up there.
We mentioned a tough season for the Panthers. How are you guys going to improve over the second half?
Well, it's just the little things. It's we haven't been getting blown out of any games. It's just these one-run losses, and it's just tough. Like we've lost a lot of extra inning games, and it's just the little things that haven't gone our way. And when you're struggling, things just don't go your way. But we still have plenty of games left, and definitely have a great opportunity this weekend. We have a 4-game series, and the following weekends to win these games and make playoffs.
Brian, thank you so much for joining us, and wish you all the best of luck in the major leagues. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Matt. Emily, it's the end of March, and a different kind of Final Four is making the headlines.
That's right, Wes. It's the end of another tournament, and Tom Jackson has more on Chapman students' brackets.
It's that time of year again, where young and old together turn into degenerate gamblers. It's the end of March, and brackets have been busted, and the best of the best have survived to the last 4. The Frozen Four. Yes, that's right. This New Englander is talking about the men's 2012 hockey tournament. And I'm on the lookout for all those other hockey fans out at Chapman and see how their brackets are turning out.
What hockey tournament? Do they even play hockey in America?
This might be more difficult than I thought.
Yeah, I'm a big NCAA hockey fan.
Knew I'd find one. How's your bracket looking?
I'm a little bummed that Michigan dropped out. I really tried to go for a complete upset thing. It didn't really work out for me.
Got any winners? Who you have winning the tournament?
I have BC winning. I'm surprised about Ferris.
BC, I had getting far too, so I'm happy they're still in it.
I knew there was a few of us out there. Well, my bracket was busted pretty quickly last weekend, but the show must go on as the tournament continues early next week in Tampa, with the final 4 teams squaring off on center ice for their chance at the championship game. BC hopes to continue its 17-game winning streak against a strong Minnesota team. And a couple of newbies to the Frozen Four, Ferris State and Union College, duke it out in the second game. For Chapman News, I'm Tom Jackson with one more question for the anchors. Emily West, how's your brackets doing?
You know, Tom should have done a Frozen Four bracket because I'll tell you what, my March Madness bracket officially busted.
How about your Sharks, though? They're doing all right.
You know, my San Jose Sharks, rough time headed to the postseason. Not quite happening for them, but the Kings and the Ducks both looking for the postseason.
All right, from the college ice to the pros, our hockey insider Matt Pritchard joins us now. Matt, how are things out there in the world of hockey?
Well, I can tell you this much, Emily. I'm happy to hear that Wes's Sharks are struggling a little bit. But yeah, things are going good. We're getting all amped up for the playoffs here in the NHL.
Yeah, now, Matt, recently it seems that the Ducks and the Kings, they're always in the playoffs. This year, the Ducks are missing out. The Kings are looking like they'll be able to squeak in. Does this team stand a chance come playoff time?
Well, I think for the Kings right now, I mean, they're really riding their goaltender, Jonathan Quick, who has absolutely stood on his head all season long. But the big problem for the Kings is that they struggle offensively. They can't seem to get pucks to the back of the net. That's a little bit shocking because this is a team that went out, made a lot of free agency acquisitions, improved themselves offensively, but they have really struggled. I don't think they really stand a chance in the playoffs, but hey, we'll have to see.
Matt, it may be tough sledding for the Kings this year, but for the St. Louis Blues, things are looking up. What do you expect to see out of this team?
Man, what a great team coming out of St. Louis and entirely out of left field. Their goalie, Brian Elliott, has been terrific this year, and they have ridden the coattails of Andy McDonald, Jason Arnett, David Backes, Jamie Langenbrunner. They will be deadly in the playoffs. This team is one that plays really well in their own system, and that's what's so rare about hockey is we see in this sport is that if a team can play well together as a unit, you don't need those big star players. And in most sports, you know, the big stars are what really power you. But this Blues team, a lot of good utility guys, they are going to be unstoppable in the playoffs.
Another team that's causing a stir, but over in the Eastern Conference, is the New York Rangers. What has made this team so deadly this season?
The beautiful thing about the Rangers is that they're a young team, and they've got great coaching behind the bench. There's a ton of talent here, and they're another team that plays really well in their own system. Martin Byron, their goalie, and I keep mentioning goalies, and the reason I do, in hockey, your goalie is what wins you games, and he has stood on his head this year. Brad Richards and Ryan Callahan, another two guys that have just really stood out for this Rangers lineup, and you'll think that the Rangers are going to be looking real good going into the playoffs.
And we mentioned earlier, Matt, that our local team, the Anaheim Ducks, are left out of the playoff picture this year. Looking towards next season, what can fans in Anaheim expect?
I think you can expect some good things, Emily. Jonas Hillers looked great this season. They rode him for 30 straight starts, and they've played a lot better in the second half. They're returning Ryan Getzlaf, Corey Perry, Bobby Ryan, and a couple young guys in Devontae Smith-Pelly. And the big question here is that their new head coach, I guess not really new, came in mid-season this year, Bruce Boudreau, is going to get a full year with them. That includes an off-season, a training camp. You have to think that this team is going to be looking a lot better. They've looked great in the second half, and I think we're going to see them back in the playoffs next year.
All right, well, thank you, Matt. A lot of great insight. After the break, Chris McGee will join us once again, and this time we're talking NBA.
Clippers, Lakers, Thunder, Heat, Bulls, all coming up next here on the Chapman News Sports Special.
Welcome to the all-new Chapman Radio. With over 100 live DJs, music, talk, and sports 24 hours a day, and content determined entirely by the student on air, Chapman Radio is alternative radio at its finest.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to The Score here, Chapman Radio and ChapmanRadio.com.
And now Chapman Radio is more accessible than ever. You can listen from anywhere in the world on chapmanradio.com and also on your iPhone. The station is broadcast on campus in Henley Underground and on the first floor of Arduous Forum.
Yes, I can see you.
Anyone can join, experienced or not, which is what makes college radio so unique. Recently, the all-new Chapman Radio has taken its quality beyond the studio. Anyone can request Chapman Radio to provide a live DJ at any event or party. All this, combined with the most serious DJs, diverse music, and quality show content we've ever had. No time is better to make the all-new Chapman Radio a part of your student life as a listener, or maybe even as a DJ. It's unlike any college radio station you've ever encountered. Chapman Radio, it's your new best friend.
We're back, and now we're talking basketball.
To break down what's going on in the NBA, let's send it over to Trent Schloem and the guys. Trent?
Thanks, guys. Joined now by a great panel of NBA analysts, we'll call them. We have Chris McGee, the host of Clippers Live on Fox Sports West, joining us today. Also, Joe Fan and Chaz Boulay, a couple of pretty good basketball players in your own right. The Lakers last night, taking on Oklahoma City in a great matchup. What people are hoping to see maybe in the postseason. But the way the Thunder played last night, it is getting very clear they are the team to be a force to be reckoned with out there in the West.
Yeah, there's no question. I think, because I'm going to start. Is that all right with you, Joe?
I mean, you've already gone there, so
okay, because I know it's your old team. Being a Seattle guy, I know he's bummed. He thinks the Sonics should be number one in the West. They're not the Sonics.
The Seattle Super Thunder played well last night.
I'm going to tell you this right now, Trent. They showed last night, and this is a longtime Laker guy, my entire life, my favorite team. I've covered them for 6 years. They're better. Oklahoma City's better. They're the number one team in the West for a reason. They're 8 games ahead of the Lakers. And they showed last night that they're just deeper, more athletic, faster, and Durant's the best closer in the game right now. Gotta tell you.
And then you add a great leader in Derek Fisher, which the Lakers lose. You think maybe that was a difference?
Well, what was real interesting was that second quarter when Fish came in and things were out of sorts for Oklahoma City, and the Lakers were probably playing their best basketball.
Yeah.
And it's not that Fish dominated, but he had that soothing effect, just like he's done for all those years with the Lakers. He had 7 points in a few minutes, didn't score the rest of the game, but it didn't matter. Whatever he said in that locker room, and I know he spoke up, it worked because those guys came out a different team in the third quarter.
And it seems like that and one layup that he had coming off the baseline was the thing that fueled that Thunder team. And it was amazing to see because that's the feeling that we got with the Lakers when he played for them. You know, he would hit the big shot, he would pump up the team, maybe not necessarily put up the biggest numbers, but he hit a key shot, got an and one, and that just lit the Thunder up, and they took it to the Lakers. And as you said, Durant, best closer in the game. How do you got a guy that's 6'10" and shoots threes? I mean, and a wingspan of what, 7'3"? The guy is unguardable.
To me, I think Russell Westbrook is the X factor here. If he's knocking down 15-footers like he was last night, he can get that shot every single time. That guy is freakishly athletic. I mean, yeah, Derek Fisher helped. He sparked it, whatever. I'm really not buying into the story that much. I'm going with Chris. They're just better. You see with the home court advantage, Lakers came out hot. You had Andrew Bynum talking smack every bucket he gets again, and that just faded. So I don't know if it's mental toughness. I don't know if it's just pure endurance. But you see as the game went on, the youth of the Thunder prevailed.
When the Lakers beat Boston, and I was traveling with the team going to the playoffs, we were in Boston, and I was with Luke Walton and Jordan Farmar, and I asked them both, what's the toughest arena to play at? Oklahoma City.
The fans are nuts.
And that was a couple years ago.
It's like a college atmosphere.
Exactly.
Right.
It's a college atmosphere. They're doing what they need to do to get in position to go to the finals. They got home court advantage. They went to the Western Conference Finals last year. And yeah, Fisher's not going to be that guy that scores 20 a game, and he never has been. He's going to lead them in ways that none of us see, intangibles in the locker room. But Russell Westbrook, if he plays like that, and I agree with Joe, and Durant does what he does, Ibaka, that team is going to be tough to beat, even for Miami.
Right, and you say Oklahoma City seems to have it all together in the locker room. The Lakers seem like they're in disarray.
Yeah, the Lakers got better with Sessions. I mean, there's no question about it. The problem is that Fisher was their vocal leader. He was the go-between the coaches
He's the only guy
and
Kobe
players. Kobe has that leadership quality, but Kobe is focused on doing his job. So now Gasol's not really a voice. He's got to be one now. Bynum, as we've seen in recent weeks, a little immaturity. He's got a long way to go. He is one of the best centers in the game. But I think the Lakers are lacking. It's this passionate, drive, that get those 50-50 loose balls, because at times they look like they can beat anybody, but it's only for a quarter or two or a game here and there. Like when they beat Miami, turn around and you lose to Washington and Detroit. Now they get into a 7-game series. I think anyone outside of Oklahoma City doesn't really want to face them.
Joe, do you think that this whole Bynum situation, taking the 3 and Mike Brown benching him in the second half, you think this is going to be a bigger issue?
I really don't think so. For me, it's just playing 48 minutes of basketball. I think they've only done that one time this season, and that was at Dallas, which is, to me, the most impressive victory they've had all season. They, for 48 minutes, took to Dallas, didn't let up in the fourth quarter like they're so accustomed to, is blowing the big leads. You see it again last night. Their 10, 15-point lead against Oklahoma City is gone within 2 minutes. They struggle to sustain. And I don't know if it's intensity off the bench, but I feel like they really struggle to keep that intensity level high, especially at home and then even more so on the road.
And the thing with Andrew Bynum, me personally, he's immature. And he hasn't had the success that he's had this year in the past. This is really his first good year that he's had in his 7-year career. And so it's hard for him, apparently, to take the spotlight, to take all the accolades that he's getting, and to actually, be humble about it. And to, he's taken the 3-point shot. And the thing about that bugs me is he knows his role. He's a center. Yeah, he can hit, a 10 to 15-foot jumper, and yeah, maybe he's expanding his game, but he's no Dirk Nowitzki. He can't pull up on a fast break on a trail 3. That's not his game. And that's the immaturity that he needs to get past, that Kobe had to get past when he was in the league.
And you're really in a tough position there if you're Mike Brown. You can't win, can you? Because we're either going to be on one side or the other. You either want him to take him out to show that you're the coach, or there's that other side of the fence that goes, come on, it's Bynum, put him back in, don't bench Kobe. It depends on which side you're on. And he's in a no-win situation.
If you think Mike Brown is getting criticism, what about the other team in Los Angeles, the Clippers? Vinny Del Negro is seemingly on the hot seat the last few weeks as this Clipper team, which was so high for so many people, now seeming like they're tumbling a little bit.
He got a vote of confidence when Donald Sterling finally came out, Neil O'Shea finally came out, the general manager, and said, Vinny's our guy. They didn't talk about the future. They talked about this year. We're not making a move right now. They said all the right things. I think that gave Vinny a little vote of confidence. They've won 3 in a row, won 5 in a row at home. The schedule's favorable for them these next 2 games. They got Portland tonight, then they got Utah. If they can string 5 wins together, all of a sudden they're neck and neck with the Lakers in that 3rd spot, and no one's talking about them panicking anymore. They are going to go to Oklahoma City. They are going to go to Dallas, and they do have the Lakers next week. So we're going to really see how much they have improved. But I think for Vinny, it was nice for them to get a few wins, and he can open up this collar, because I'm going to tell you, when they had lost all those games, it was tense around there. I'm sure. And all those stuff coming out about him losing the locker room, it matters.
I think the biggest part of it was Chauncey Billups coming back and even sitting on that sideline.
No question.
He is the second coach. I mean, you put him in a suit, you make him an assistant coach, and he seems to have more control over talking to these guys than any of the other coaches do. I mean, he has that calming influence because he was out there battling with them early on in the season. I think that was the biggest reason that they won those games at home. He doesn't travel with them as much. So,
for me, from an outside standpoint, what I love to say about LA sports fans, there's that big red button that says panic over the top of it.
Right now.
So Seattle.
Get a coffee and
But in all seriousness, there's that big red button that says panic over the top of it that LA sports fans love to push. I mean, you lose one of your biggest pieces in Chauncey Billups, your veteran leader, and you're supposed to just transition seamlessly. That's not that easy to do. And you bring in another piece of Nick Young, it's supposed to just happen like that. Well, it doesn't. And Lakers lose a couple games. Oh my gosh, the sky is falling on them. It's like, let's just relax a little bit.
The expectation with the Lakers is just so high. But with the Clippers, the Lob City, you get Chris Paul. It was the expectation really created before the season that I think is the big reason there, right?
And amazingly enough, I agree with Joe. I mean, think about the loss of Chauncey Billups. He's one of 7 active players that has been an NBA Finals MVP. And in the last 20 years, you had Hakeem, Shaq, and Jordan. He's one of 10 guys. That's street cred. That's cred within your locker room. Yeah. So losing him was absolutely huge. But yeah, the pressure and the expectation, that comes from Chris Paul joining this team. Yeah. That comes from their fast start.
Blake Griffin was great last year. He's a high flyer. He's on SportsCenter every night. Guys, I think we can all agree that the Thunder are the team in the Western Conference. What about the East, though? Because a lot of people say the Heat are the favorite. I like the Bulls, personally.
The Heat to me, they have the trump card. They have LeBron James. You have Dwayne Wade, who, if you're looking at a series with the Bulls, Dwayne Wade, Derrick Rose kind of cancel each other out. Okay, Derrick Rose faster, but Dwayne Wade's been there before. Then you have Chris Bosh, Carlos Boozer, kind of the same this season. LeBron James is the man that trumps anybody else in that Eastern Conference because nobody can guard him. Nobody can guard him in the league, really.
Can he close in a finals game?
That's to be seen. I think, personally, they need to solidify that Dwayne Wade is your closer because he's hit more big shots. LeBron James is a facilitator. He's a Magic Johnson type, and he is the trump card that can rebound, can get you assists, and can score about 25 a game, just not in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's a great point. Dwayne Wade's better from the free throw line, too.
Absolutely. For me, it's all in Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is the key piece in the Eastern Conference. If he's healthy, which he hasn't proven that he is, I think it's the Heat. But you've seen the Bulls beat the Heat without Derrick Rose. I think if he's healthy at full speed, I don't think they can beat the Bulls.
I'm going to disagree, and I'm going to go with you on this. I think LeBron is that X factor. It's funny, when I watch the Bulls play, they play so hard, they play good D, team chemistry. I think Derrick Rose is so good, but I just say that team's not winning the NBA championship, and I don't know what it is. There's a piece missing for me. I just, and I hate to say this, I just think the Heat are too good. And I think it's the Heat versus the Thunder. I really do.
Okay,
kills me to say that, Joe.
It kills you? Does it kill you?
It hurts.
Real quick, who wins it all?
I'm going to go with the Thunder because my heart just, even though my brain and maybe the gambler inside of me is like, dude, the Heat are going to win. But I'm going to go with just a little piece of my heart still because I'm a passionate man.
We can't let
and I'm going to go with the
LeBron,
Thunder.
we
can't
let
him win yet. Yeah, can't let him win yet.
I think you're seeing this Thunder team starting to mature to the level to where they're on that level where they can win a championship. And they haven't been there the last few years. They've been there together now. And what's scary for me is, yeah, I think they're going to win a championship this year, but all these guys are under contract. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So this is about to be a very scary team for quite a long time.
You know how you have to take those steps? They got to the playoffs, lost to the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. This might be the year they get to the finals and lose, actually. I mean, they're getting closer. They're going to be right there.
The one thing that I have to say about the Thunder, they have no inside scoring presence, but they have an inside defense presence. And if you're playing the Heat in the finals, that's all you need. Because Chris Bosh, not really that much of an inside scorer. I go Thunder.
Love it. Absolutely. Thank you guys very much for joining us. Chris McGee of Fox Sports West, the host of Clippers Live.
I had a great time. I'll tell you what I love. I don't have to wear a tie, and I can come in with a little scruff when I'm not the host. And I'm going to get eggs in a few minutes.
You better shave for
and no one's going to hassle you here.
No. Can I walk in there and get some eggs? I better have more Twitter followers when I'm done with this show. Aki, your whole class better be following me.
That's why we got quite the following. Channel 6. Geeter, thanks.
Channel 6.
Joe, Chaz, Wes, Emily, what's going on?
Thanks a lot, Trent. Orange County's only pro golf tournament was played in Newport Beach a few weeks ago. Wes, you were there?
You know, Emily, I was. It was such an exciting finish. The tournament went down to the wire. The Toshiba Classic, one of the stops on the Champions Tour, has been won by stars in the past. Nick Price, Bernhard Langer, Jay Haas, all former champions of the PGA event. This year's final round shows us that sometimes the favorite does not guarantee a win. Windy conditions in Newport Beach following a full day of rain. The final pairing for round 3 included veteran Mark Calcavecchia, dark horse Lauren Roberts, and former champion Fred Couples. Couples, who won this tournament in 2010, was still in the running headed to the 17th tee. He needed to sink his birdie putt to get within one shot of the lead, but a 4-putt meltdown on 17 put him 2 shots behind the leader. Roberts, taking the lead late in the final round, was able to combat the wind all day long to take home the trophy. The 56-year-old San Luis Obispo native credited his short game.
The difference today for me was I made some crucial putts at the right time. And, you know, that's what you got to do on windy, tough days like this. You know you're going to have a couple of putts for pars that you got to make, and I was fortunate I made it.
Lauren Roberts is your 2012 winner of the Toshiba Classic, his first victory in 34 starts. From a very windy Newport Beach Country Club, Wes Rapaport, Chapman News.
And our golf insider Trent Schloem is standing by to fill us in on what has been a very exciting start to the PGA Tour season.
Trent, Tiger Woods finally got over the hump last week at Bay Hill, his final tune-up before the Masters. What can we expect to see out of Tiger at Augusta?
Well, I feel like Tiger Woods is, I don't want to say he's back yet, but he is certainly getting there. Remember, he spent all this time without a coach. He's changed his swing several different times, and things have been tough on Tiger. Look back, forget about the 4 surgeries that he's had, let alone all the personal stuff, but the win at Bay Hill, absolutely huge. What Tiger does at Augusta, I tell you this, he will be in the hunt on the back 9 on Sunday. Where does he win it? I don't know, because there are so many good young players out there.
All right, and Rory McIlroy seemingly had his breakout last season at the U.S. Open, but it's hard to forget his historic collapse at the Masters last year. What Rory do you think we're going to see this time?
I think we're going to see the Rory that we saw at the U.S. Open. I think he has done a really good job of putting that whole collapse at the Masters last year behind him. And really, he is a superstar, not just in Europe now. He is becoming that in America, too. I mean, we see it. Every time Carolyn Wozniacki's in a tennis tournament, who are we showing? Rory McIlroy. He was #1 in the world not too long ago. He and Luke Donald going back and forth there for that honor. Rory McIlroy is about as good as it gets, and he has a chance now. If he can win this tournament, maybe he really solidifies himself as the future of golf.
And Trent, who do you see winning the 2012 Masters?
I think it's going to be a real tough competition. So many good young Americans. I think that's what we all forget about. Now, Phil Mickelson obviously will be in the hunt. He had that great start to the season, right? He wins at Pebble Beach, and then he wins over at Riviera Country Club in the Northern Trust. But a guy that I'm looking forward to seeing, Dustin Johnson, he is my sleeper. I think Dustin Johnson's going to be able to pull this one off. He may be a little bit down the road as far as the odds go, for those of you who are the gambling addicts out there. But I tell you what, Dustin Johnson's swing and length can get it done at Augusta the way it's all been designed for. Course has been tiger-proofed. Sets up really nicely for Johnson, actually.
Thank you, Trent. And now moving from the course to the mountains. After the break, Madeline Dodd will bring us the latest on snowboarding.
And we talked to the ladies from Chapman's lacrosse team. Stay tuned to find out what they had to say about this season. We'll be right back.
Follow your dreams. Chapman University. Take your life to new heights. Chapman University. Invest your humanity. Lead.
Welcome back. I'm Wes Rapaport.
And I'm Emily Valla. We might not have snow in Orange County. Doesn't matter. Madeline Dodd is hitting the slopes to bring us the best in the world of snowboarding.
Snowboarding is one of the fastest growing sports in the country, and to the professionals, the 22-foot walls of Superpipe are both a place for triumph and tragedy. American snowboarder and Southern California native Shaun White was vying for gold this year. During this season's Winter X Games, he became the first snowboarder ever to earn a perfect 100. Fellow snowboarder Kevin Pierce was there to congratulate Shaun at the bottom of the pipe. Once an Olympic hopeful and top competitor, Kevin suffered a traumatic brain injury in 2009 that led him to leave extreme sports altogether.
So it's just so weird to know it so well and kind of know exactly what's happening, but just know that I'll never get to do it again.
But with years of therapy and a tenacious spirit, Kevin defied all medical odds and got back on a snowboard this winter. History was the theme at the Winter Dew Tour 2012 Toyota Challenge, as Louis Vito became the first male in snowboard superpipe to win back-to-back Dew Cups, the tour's overall title. And yes, you may just recognize him from Dancing with the Stars. Reporting from the slopes, Madeline Dodd, Chapman News.
And Wes, if you want to go snowboarding, not too much time left. It was not a good snow season, but bunny slopes are still open for you.
Thanks.
To see even more of the pros' highlights, visit allysports.com.
We've spent a lot of time covering sports around the country, but it's time to bring it a little bit closer to home. Emily, you caught up with the Chapman women's lacrosse team to find out about some interesting changes for the upcoming season.
All right, let's take a look. The program may only be 4 years old, but Chapman women's lacrosse has already won a national championship and is now moving up from club to NCAA D3.
I'm actually really excited. I think it's great that Chapman included us in the SCIAC. It was half the reason why they were allowed to go in the SCIAC was because they said that they would bring us with them.
While the move is huge for the program, on the field it may not change much.
So club to Division III for us personally doesn't mean a lot. Other than we get a budget next year, which is huge.
I think the biggest changes we'll see is definitely the talent. I don't think there's going to be a lot of changes when it comes to what we're doing now on the field when we're practicing. I think that'll pretty much be consistent because we do take what we do very seriously.
The majority of last year's championship team is returning this season, and many will play for the D3 team.
We're still a really young team, And winning the national championship last year was an amazing experience. We're moving from Division II club last year to Division I club this year, and we're still going to compete for a national championship this year, even at a much higher level.
With the drastic growth over the last few years, Coach Eisenberg is looking forward to the future of the program.
Things just happen at a really good time. It's nothing that I could have planned on purpose, but I'm really grateful for.
The women are looking towards the national championships the second week of May. Reporting from Wilson Field, I'm Emily Valla, Chapman News. Some tough matchups remain ahead as the ladies will be in action against Cal Poly, San Diego State, and UCSB.
And just so you folks know, it's our spring break next week, which means no show for us.
But not to worry, we'll be back on Friday the 13th with our regular newscast.
Until then, have a great weekend. I'm Wes Rapaport.
And I'm Emily Valla. See you in 2 weeks, Orange.